welcome to another video. So I am so excited to be showing you this review and setup video. So I've already done a lot of setup through here. This is far from a first impressions review, but I do want to walk you through what this is that I have here in front of me and how I've set it up and how I plan to use it. So this is a novel companion from Little Inklings Design. They have a couple of different book-related journals and planners. If you don't want a full-blown planner, so that notebook has a lot of book-related spreads with a full monthly calendar and a full set of weekly spreads for a whole year. It's dated. It's meant to be a planner and a book tracker. And if you don't want all of that, there is the novel companion. So the novel companion is not dated and it does not have any weekly pages, so that you can use it whenever and really however. And it is what it says it is. It's meant to be a companion to your reading and not necessarily a full-blown planner and reading tracker. So this is this year's edition, and historically I have not liked the Little Inklings Design aesthetic. There's a lot of watercolor doodle kind of things that have been part of previous iterations of the novel companion and reading planner that I have not liked, which is why I've never used them before and why I wasn't going to use them at all this year. I showed you in my 2021 planner setup that I had a whole thing going. I had my horizontal happy planner and I had some printables that I had gotten from Etsy, and I had put together a reading planner for the year. And then the novel companion got released. And it is so good. So basically, the thing that first made me revisit the novel companion is that there's a neutral version this year. So first and foremost, I was like, whoa, I've never liked the colorful and aesthetic novel companion, but I do love all of the layouts. And now there's a neutral version that would be perfect. Then the colorful version got shown, and I was like, wait a second. This is colorful, but the aesthetic has changed just a little bit, and I am loving it. So what I have in front of me is the colorful version of the novel companion, and as you can see, it is this very light watercolor theme, and I love it. I think it is beautiful and very fun, and I love it. So the novel companion starts at about $20 USD. It is 25 Canadian, I think, and the shop is based in Canada. And right now, I think that they're not doing international shipping because of all of the delays and problems that are going on with how COVID is slowing down shipping. So I think they are only doing Canadian and US orders right now. You'll have to follow along. I don't know when they're going to fully open up and resume their international shipping, but they are stationed in Canada. And this is the version of the novel companion that they released this year. I think this is the fourth version, and I'm going to take you through it. Some things about it: there was an upgrade this year, so this little the coil is metal this year, which it was not metal in previous years. It has always been plastic, and the cover is this lightly laminated cardstock. The title here has some black foiling on it. That's another upgrade that happened this year, and we're just kind of going to flip through it, and I'm going to show you what I've set up and what all of these spreads are like. So the first thing that you should notice is that the cover goes right along to the edges of the pages, which I don't like. So one of the only drawbacks of this particular planner is that the cover is not sturdy enough for me. It is a soft cover, it's very floppy, and then because it doesn't go beyond the edges of the pages at all, I feel like it is not as sturdy as I would want it to be. It is still a paper cover. There's a light lamination here, but not really any on the inside. And so it's a little too flimsy. I don't like the cover. I love the design. I don't like the material it's made out of. That being said, I think this is one of the more affordable reading planners. It starts at $20 plus shipping. I think with shipping it was about $30 for me. And that's because there was a slight price increase when they added the metal coil. So if they made the cover any more sturdy, any more durable, they changed the material, that would probably reflect in another price increase. And to maintain this price point, I get why the cover is the way it is. And because it's a novel companion and not a full planner, I doubt the intent is for this planner to travel with you, right? If it's just sitting on your desk, it's not a huge deal that it's a little floppy. So keep that in mind. That's like a small pet peeve that I have with it, but otherwise it's quite nice. I love everything that's inside of it. So here you've got your name page that I have already set up. And then on this side, you have a set of stats to keep track of. So the number of books in your collection, how many are unread, the ways to track the percentage of your book read for both a physical and an audiobook, most anticipated books, and a legend if you do color coding. I might add to this later. I haven't done enough thinking about what books I might want to put here, and I'm not color coding throughout the whole planner, so I probably will not use this at all. To give you an idea of size, this is about a little larger than 5x7. It's a little bigger than a B6 sized notebook. If I showed you it on top of like a happy planner, right? Happy planners are about 7x9. This is a little bigger than 5x7. All right, and then you have a section for goals, and I just put here the same goals that I outlined in my 2021 reading goals video. I am using this solely for reading goals, so none of my personal goals are reflected here, like other than reading. Still to catch up on book series, and then I'm going to record at the end of the year how many of the series I am up to date on, and then how many I'm still a little behind on. I want to start tracking pages read, and then mark how many pages I read for the whole year. I want to read 50 books, and then keep track of the average rating for the books that I read this year. Participate in NaNoWriMo. Read 6 nonfiction books, and then here I left space to write the 6 that I read. I've already read 1, so that's some pretty good progress. Here we've got an A to Z challenge, and I have already put in a couple there. This on the cover reading challenge, so various things that are on the cover: a crown, a flower or plant, a shoe, buildings or cityscape, a book, a mode of transportation, food, something that can fly, sun, moon, or stars, or a mask, and then the reading the rainbow challenge down here. One thing to note is that a Little Inklings design does have an annual book challenge, and in the full reading planner they include that because those are dated, but this does not have their annual challenge. So if you want to find that, there is a printable, I believe, on their website that gives you one more reading challenge that is in the other planner but not in the novel companion. Then we've got this. I think what I'm going to do for this is keep track of my owned but unread books, my physical books that are literally sitting on my bookshelf. This is going to be a reflection of that. Usually in the past, I've used pages like this just to keep a visual representation of the books that I have read in a given year. But that feels repetitive because I put that information elsewhere. So I'm probably going to use this to write all the books I own that I have not read yet and then color them in as I read them. And I think that will be more useful of a tracking system for me. If I'm remembering correctly, every spread where there are like books like this is meant to let you track about 80 books. I think that is how many that this planner holds. Here we've got a set of reading checklists, and I have themed them. So I'm not using this for a whole large-scale TBR or anything like that. What I have decided to do is keep select reading lists together that I know I'm going to want to reference frequently. For example, the Book Democracy is an online Facebook group, book club kind of thing, and they have a challenge where you can set at the beginning of the year a TBR that you want to read for that year, and then you're sorted into different teams throughout the year, and when you read books off of those lists, your teams get points. So I made my list a list of 20 books that I want to read in the year 2021, and I put that here so that I could reference it very easily, and then I've color coded it. Similarly, for Fantasy Romance February, they have a list of books from participating authors on their website, and I put that list here because it's going to be a good reference for me as I start diving into this new genre. So I put that there. And then you do get 3 of these spreads. So this is the second one. Throughout the whole planner, you have at the tops a lot of these light watercolor design elements, and then this script kind of font. This is the third spread. Here we've got a book series tracker, and I set this up earlier today. I'm very happy with how it came out. Basically, I've got on this side the name of the series. If I've colored in the square a colorful color, that means that that's a known book in the series. For example, An Ember in the Ashes is a book series that just finished up, and it has 4 books in it. So I colored 4 squares, and then I put in black the rest of the squares on this line to symbolize that I know exactly how many books are in that series. That's either because I know and it has been said exactly how many are going to be in that series, or the series is complete. So for An Ember in the Ashes, the series is actually complete. And then I put a check mark in a box once I've read that book. If the squares are left white, that means I don't know enough about the series yet to say if there's a certain number of books in them. For example, All the Stars and Teeth, I know there are 2 out. I don't know if there are going to be any more. So rather than do anything over here, I've just left it open. If I learn about another book that's going to come out, I'll color in the square. Or if I learn that it's only a duology, I'll just color the rest of the squares in black. And so I've set that up for all of the series that I'm in the middle of from 2020. There are probably others even before that I'm in the middle of, but at this point, I would need to just restart those anyway because I don't remember them if I were serious about finishing them. So these are all series that I started in 2020. The only thing I might add to this is probably the Serpent and Dove series, because I read that late 2019 and remember enough of it that I can read the sequel. I just haven't added it here. On this page, you've got a battle of the books. So spaces to write books. I am going to be picking a top book per month. So when the month of January finishes, I'll pick my favorite book from January, my favorite book from February, etc. And then just follow these tier things until we pick a book of the year. This is going to be fun to fill in, I think, as the year goes on. Here you've got some fancy little boxes to collect some of your favorite quotes. Here you've got a catalog of signed and special edition books. I don't know how I'm going to use this. I might use it just to keep track of my Fairy Loot books. That's really the only source of signed and special edition books that I have. I don't buy a lot of special edition books. They're fairly expensive most of the time. But the Fairy Loot subscription is one that I invest in because I enjoy it. So I'll probably keep a record of those books here. Here we've got a spread for a wish list, a list of 5-star reads, and then these types of pages, like here it says genres read, book format breakdown, and star rating. There are a lot of like year-long stats, pages, and graphs pre-set up for you in the full-blown reading planner that aren't included here. Here, there's a much more condensed little pie chart snippet because the novel companion doesn't necessarily have to be over the course of a single year. It's undated, as you'll see when we get to the monthly pages. So there are some annual kinds of spreads that aren't in here, but I am glad that these pie charts are here because they'd be kind of annoying to try to draw by hand, like the circles and the keys, but I think they are fun to have. So I will be going in to fill this stuff in closer towards the end of the year. And then here we've got what the monthly pages look like. So this is all undated and I have added dates in. So these stickers, the January and the date numbers are from the Dates and Holidays Happy Planner sticker book. And I just dated it. I've dated every month in here so that I don't have to go back and like do it as the year goes on. It's all done already. And I am using Crayola Super Tips to mark where I've started a book and then when I finished a book, just with a color-coded line. My Crayola Super Tips are labeled, So at some point, like a year or two ago now, I put a number on every single super tip that corresponds to the color. And so I have those colors here so that I know exactly what colors I've been using to track which books. There is this sidebar area. Like I said, here I'm using this for my color code, and then a little box at the bottom for your most anticipated book. And I will probably use more sidebar space for any extra new releases I know are happening in a given month. And then at the top, there are usually a little quote. So here it says, words are the spell and books are the magic. Then you have a books to read tracker here. This is another sticker from the Happy Planner books, dates and holidays. And I've lettered in the books that I want to read in January, right? 2 of them I've read, 1 of them I'm almost finished with. And then on this side, there's a section for new releases. I don't think I'm ever going to use this. I don't keep track of new releases closely enough to have so many that I need this much space. But I am going to be using this page to like put on top of it with some sticker paper various spreads for readathons and things like that, and I will show you what that looks like when we get into February. Then you have a space for a bookish haul. So I do keep track of what books I buy in a particular month or obtain. Like I got one from Fairy Loot in the December box and I can't remember what it was called, which is why it's not filled in yet. And then here we've got a reading wrap up. So what I'm doing here is I'm writing the name of the books that I have finished, a little number that corresponds to their star rating, and then here we've got areas for reading stats. So number of books read, the best book, number of pages read, and then formats. So the number of print, ebooks, audiobooks, and a memorable quote. And then down here is a dot grid section that I think I'm going to use for book covers. So I think I'm going to, once I have all the books that I've read, I'm going to print out something that has all the book covers and then stick it here so that I have a little visual representation of what all of those books look like. And then all of those spreads repeat. So now we're into the month of February. Again, this month sticker and these dates I added. They were not here. This is an undated planner. Here the quote is, "If a book is well written, I always find it too short," from Jane Austen. And then down here, I have marked that my most anticipated book in February is A Court of Silver Flames. Here, we've got my books to read, and this is an example of how I'm tracking readathons. So in February, I am participating in the Fantasy Romance February readathon. And so I put my TBR here for that readathon, and then they had this like bingo board template that I printed onto some sticker paper and have just pasted in here. And now this new releases section is covered up, but it's a more useful format for me. So that's how I'll be using this page. Bookish haul, reading wrap up, and then the next month, March. So in March, my most anticipated read is Chain of Iron, but Bonecrier's Dawn is also being released, so I do have that noted down here at the bottom. For this month, the quote is, "You can never read too much." Each month has a color, so this one's yellow. This quote says, "Life is just a series of obstacles preventing you from reading." May, the quote is, "A day spent reading is a day well spent." The next month, "Some books are so familiar that reading them is just like being home again," from Louise May Alcott. And then my most anticipated book is A Psalm of Storms and Silence. Next month, "So many books, so little time." The following month, "A book a day keeps reality away." the next month. Adventure is just a page away. Followed by more letters, more words, more pages, more books, less reality. Then Not Today, I'm reading. I think this is probably my favorite theme, these like constellations that are at the top. And then the last month has the quote, "You can never get a cup of tea large enough or a book long enough to suit me," from C.S. Lewis. And then once you finish with the monthly spreads, you get into a set of book reviews. There are enough pages here for, I think, 80 book reviews, which for me is enough. I read about 50 books a year. 80 is plenty. As you can see, I've put a couple already. This is what they look like blank. You have space for the title, your star rating, the author, if you've posted this review somewhere or talked about it. I am using this to mark whether I have put this book on my Instagram stories, when you started and finished it, if you would recommend it, where it's from, the length, the format you read it in, and then a brief summary of your thoughts. And then this top part here alternates. So there are a ton of different color themes as you flip through all the book reviews pages. And I love these. These types of tiny, brief, just for me reviews are the kinds I like to keep. I do not keep thorough like Goodreads reviews or anything like that. I just keep track of star rating on Goodreads. And then I think the colors repeat. So at the end of all of that, you get here. So in the colorful version, there is this coloring page. In the neutral version, this is just another notes page. The lined notes pages look like this. But as you can see here, I've started to do some setup. So here I've got my Kindle TBR. These are the list of books that I own on Kindle but have not read yet. And then here I've started to make a list of Kindle Unlimited TBR. So the books that I want to read that are available on Kindle Unlimited, so that I don't buy them if I don't have to while I have my Kindle Unlimited subscription. Then you get a few more lined notes pages. But then you also have some dot grid pages. So the blank dot grid looks like this. But I've done some setup here. So I have set up my 2021 Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. And it looks like this. So I put sticky notes down so that I can start to plan books and outline what I think will be where. But this is what each section looks like. So I've got a sticker. I made these stickers. They have a little stack of books with the prompt and then some colored lines so that I can write in the book I read for that particular prompt. And I did that for basically all the prompts, including the advanced prompts. So with the advanced prompts, there are 50 total, and I put all of that here. This isn't a reading challenge I focus real hard on completing. I just like to kind of see how much I can get done fairly casually. So I set that up across these couple of spreads. I have a bit of extra dot grid space here for anything that I might decide to add later. At the very, very back, I do have a color code of my Crayola Super Tips here so that I know what the colors look like on the spread. And as you can see, they are numbered because I labeled my Crayola Super Tips, and I'm missing a few because I don't know, I used them for something and didn't put them back. So eventually I'll have to hunt down those colors. Here on the very back cover, I jotted down the number of dots across and down for each page. And then at the very, very back, at the very end, you've got your back cover with the logo at the bottom. And that is the whole novel companion. It is very nice. I think the only things I don't like as much are, as I've already said, the cover. I wish the covers could be a little more sturdier. And the paper is just barely thick enough. If you look, let's see. For example, here, coloring this in for the book series tracker, there's almost a bit of bleed through. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but almost some bleed through and a lot of ghosting with the Crayola Super Tips. But that's like not a huge deal. You know, the paper is just a hair thinner than I would prefer. Or here, my TBR is on the back of this page. And I colored in some of the words, and there's quite a bit of ghosting there. So slightly thicker paper, slightly thicker cover. That's what I would want if they were going to do any more upgrades. But otherwise, I really like the style of this planner. I love all the spreads. And for the price point, I think it's very, very good. I think that I would prefer the lower price point than the upgraded cover or paper. So if they could keep it at 20 bucks and this is the quality you get, I think it's really, really awesome. And I'm going to be using this. So that means that the reading planner I showed you in my 2021 lineup video, I'm using mostly as a memory keeper now, and I'll show you more about what that looks like later. The printables I put in that planner, I'm actually not using at all. That's fine, I'll save them. Maybe someday I'll use them again. But this is what I am using for 2021, and I am very excited about it. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.